John, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me, Hugo. Been looking forward to chatting to you about all this stuff.
Yeah, first, like I said before we started, I don't have a script for our podcast today. So if people are listening us, sorry for that, because I think we're going to talk just end of the year, what was the best in sim racing on 23, and the worst, of course, what you can mention for you and your opinion, what was the things that failed in terms of games, hardware, and of course, asking what is going to be in 2024 in terms of racing and what you are expecting that we can do on sim racing. But for the people that don't know who you are, can you introduce yourself just in briefly 5 minutes?
Sure. So, my name is John Munro, as you've probably gathered by this point. You might recognize me off the Traction.gg YouTube channel or other Traction places. But yeah, basically, I was the content creator and video maker for Traction, or one of the members of the team. So I've been doing sim racing and racing game content for 2 or 3 years. But I've also been sim racing and real racing for a decade now as well. Um, and yeah, just pretty much love everything motorsport, racing cars, and obviously growing up in our generation, if you love something and there's games for that thing, you probably also love games of that thing. So yeah, I've always been a fan of racing games, and obviously it's continued into my adulthood. So yeah, everything racing, everything gaming. That's basically a summary of it.
And let's go start with sim racing. What for on this year was a very complete year, no? In terms of sim racing, I think very rich. But let's start with games. What was the eye for you in points of gaming?
Oh, in terms of game releases, uh, it's tricky because like a lot of games at the moment are being really well improved as time's gone on, but it's a
Mhm.
lot of games that are that have been released a while ago. So you don't see as many new releases coming. We're seeing a lot of games delayed and stuff like that. But obviously there were some really good releases this year. Um, so WRC has to be a highlight for me. I know,
Okay.
rally is a specific genre, but this is a game that's been hyped up for a long time. People have been waiting for it, and there's been so much pressure on EA Sports and Codemasters to succeed
Yeah.
with this game. And obviously, it's not perfect. There's like any game in the current era, there's so much depth to it. They're never going to get things perfect straight out of the box. But I really do think this game has an incredible foundation. They've managed to mix passion for rallying with good physics, good looking game. They've made it work on consoles and PC, and they filled it with content. And it also has longevity, I think, as well. The way they've designed it, this is a game they can just add to for years to come, and simultaneously pleasing rally nerds and people who love simulation style rally racing, and also being
Mhm.
manageable on a controller or for people with less experience. So I just think across the board, WRC has probably been the game that has succeeded, in the widest possible way.
Okay, and you think WRC tick all the boxes that was expected in terms of rally games, or is something that is missing to tick?
Yeah, I think it probably ticks all the boxes to a degree. It ticks enough of the
Okay.
boxes. It's definitely not perfect because even on launch day there were issues that became clear, especially with the likes of performance. For people without really strong hardware. But as I played the game, we obviously had our hands on it before it got released, which was great attraction. So we really got to kind of get into the guts of it. We tried it on console as well as PC and all of these things. I just think that they managed to give you a game that, even though maybe for the hardcore people this isn't the perfect game, and for the kind of casual gamers this isn't the perfect game, they've managed to make a game that's maybe an 8 or 9 out of 10 in both categories, which is why I think they've done so well. So for me, as someone who can, I guess, try lots, I enjoy casual games and I enjoy really hardcore games. So I could see the enjoyment in the single player career mode. When I just sit on the sofa and play with a controller, I still really do have fun. Whereas when I try and go for a hardcore setup with a real co-driver, turn all the assist and stuff off, even though I've the physics themselves maybe aren't quite Richard Burns rally level of realism, the immersion of feeling like you're a rally driver is 100% there, and the flow of the
Yeah.
car, the way the stages flow as well, it just feels great. So I mean that's pretty much it from my end. There's so many high expectations around games these days, so to have a game that comes this close in so many areas, you have to see as a big win.
Yeah, I agree. And what is your point that is missing on the esports or WRC to be almost perfect? What is missing for making the perfect game?
I think
No more cars and no more trucks because
yeah, oh,
on
yeah.
the end of
So
the day,
there's
we never try everything.
no,
You
you're
know.
right. You're right. Like there's so many, just on that subject, people people really demand you have really long stages because it's realistic. They have them, and then people hate when they have to drive the really long stages, right? You know,
Exactly.
you've obviously got a lot of repetition there, and people complain about stages being repeated. But then if the repeated stages weren't there, you wouldn't. It would take so long. You know, you would have to make so many independent stages. They would never release a game. So there has to be compromises in some places. So I don't think there's an issue there. There's a the career mode is also pretty entertaining because it kind of gives you a couple of seasons of longevity. There's a few glitches with it, which I'm struggling with at the moment, which is kind of ruining it for me. But the base for people who don't have those glitches seems really, really good. Um, I don't know. I wonder if it's kind of missing some sort of competitive longevity element to it, because I mean clubs are
Okay.
always great, and that gives you private rallying and league racing essentially. um, and you have the time trial mode and the moments mode, which are good. But the only thing about that game I'm concerned about is, you know, I guess over the next few years they, I think, need to build their own competitive ecosystem where it feels like people can really, you know, find an easy way of getting involved in rallies with others that feels like maybe they have a purpose within the game. So whether that's just to,
Okay.
you know, maybe success in particular EA organized events gives you more perks, more cars to unlock, more things than just kind of cosmetic items by leveling up, for example, I think the game will have more longevity. But as it stands, for me, I don't see it being the kind of game that outside of kind of private league racing, you're going to want to keep playing for a year on end. So yeah, I think that's maybe the missing piece at the moment for me. I think a lot of the other stuff they can just tidy up with updates. You know, stuff like the game performance and the graphical issues, or those kind of things, bugs. Hopefully, they can patch that in time.
Yeah, but the graphic issues, we know they changed the all the design of the game comparing from the dirty to the WRC. So of course, going to be always adaptations. And the thing is, we forgot when it comes to PCs, everyone have a different PC. It's
Oh,
so
exactly.
many. It's not the same thing that you build a game for consoles. Is that hardware? Don't change. You know what everyone gonna have at home. When it comes to PC, everyone gonna have thousands of different combinations, and after
Yeah.
for sure gonna be something. Yeah, on my point of view, I think missing a little bit of what was on the career mode on 34. You know,
Yeah.
when you buy a car, for example, you buy a kit car, and the car will come without not the best version of the car. You need to get parts. You need to improve your car. You need to, so that will bring a little bit more that thing of creating a rally team.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's part on the career mode, and I feel that the online was better on dirty versions comparing to the WRC. But anyway, we don't know if I don't know if let's say if all the system inside of that part changed to I don't know why they changed it, but I feel that the old version was a little bit better.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's like it's different. No, a completely different game if you compare one to the other one. No,
Yeah, I think the big jump over Dirt Rally 2.0, to me it felt like this feels like Dirt Rally 3.0 plus. It just feels like everything's picked up a little bit and there's some new features. I mean, I understand what you mean about the online, because I think Dirt Rally had the kind of, you know, the daily and weekly events which were quite good fun as well.
exactly.
It had Rallycross, which meant it had pro esports, and you had, you know, broadcasts of that over the years, so you had something to work towards for the top guys. Um, you know, there were things like this, and I get what you mean as well with the career of WRC, because even though I really like the kind of, I guess, almost the building aspect where each season you build up your resources, and it's almost like a really good board game. I don't know if you enjoy board
Yeah,
games,
yeah.
like, you know, it's like those builder games where you just keep on increasing your resources to increase what you've got, and I like
It's like
that
a
element.
RPG,
Yeah, it's
a
exactly.
car RPG.
It's cool in that sense, but I think one thing that maybe misses from that, and it's, I guess, similar to what you're saying about the upgrades, is when you buy a car, you know, for a particular series, I like to be able to kind of grow an attachment to my car. So I want to feel like that car is my car. That's the version of my car, and I want to keep that. So then when you get to the next season and your objective changes and you have to drive in a different series, but you can't increase your garage, suddenly you have to just sell what it was your car to be able to buy something else. So it doesn't really feel like the garage is full of your own pride and joy that you can build. It almost feels like your garage is just whatever cars you need to have selected at that given moment, if that makes sense. So there's, I mean, we're getting really into the nitty gritty now, but there are some specific things for sure that could be improved on and worked on. But yeah, overall, I just think it's an immersive game, and when you actually get onto the stages, the feeling is just fantastic.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. I think the part of the problem that everyone talk and everything. I think on these days everyone talk more about the bad problems of a game than the good parts of the game. But I think in overall we have more good perks. than lower perks on the game, and the game is enjoyable. It's not a full sim racing game, yeah, but comparing with the older games, I think give me good vibes. I remember playing Colin McRae, for example, 3. Sometimes
Yeah.
at night, I would love to play Colin McRae 3. I think it was a big difference from the second to the third one. When you have different types of cars, you have the S2000s, and I love that one. I love the return of so many type of stages. So I quite like it. I know other game that's been evolving a lot is IMS2. What's your point of view on Automobilista 2? They improve a lot. You
Yeah,
think they gonna survive from what happened with these previous 3 years?
I think so. The thing is, right, I've not actually played AMS2 for a little while. We did a lot of videos on it in the past on Traction, covering the new
Hmm.
content that comes out and trying out those things. And every time there's some new content out, I've actually really enjoyed a lot of it. You know, stuff like it was great to have historic Nordschleife in there, and when you pick the right car and track combination, it can be brilliant. There's always been that thing about people saying, it's the project cars feeling to it, the curb issues, all those kind of things, and I honestly have been on board with that opinion to a degree. I think sometimes in some combinations it does feel like it could be better. Uh, but as you say, they've made big improvements this year. Now, this is probably the one thing that's moved the most this year that I've not really had a chance to get into.
Okay.
But from what I've been seeing from other creators and people who have been playing more AMS2, that the most recent improvement is actually a thing that really does make a difference. It's not just words. It's not just blank words by the developers saying, "Oh no, we've changed something." It genuinely has come on a long way. I think what you need with AMS2 is a better structure of online multiplayer. We've seen other games like R Factor 2 developing an online
Is
system
what
that
is
is
my next
actually right.
question.
So
Yeah.
they've come a long way because of the system, and suddenly what was a great game now has a purpose to play it. And it's the same, I guess you could say, even with recently Assetto Corsa coming to LFM. Now more people are
Yeah.
playing these old games because they've got a reason to play them. If AMS2 had that same draw and a really good online system that gave you a reason to play, a reason, something to aim for, something to grow towards, I think with the physics improvements, the force feedback improvements, and that suddenly you've got a game that's right at the top of the tree. Really competitive
Okay.
against all these others. So it sounds like it's getting there, but honestly, I need to personally give it another go myself to kind of give an honest view of the feeling.
I think IMS2. I think that, like you say, people connect them a lot to project cards, and automatic our brain is connected to project
Yeah.
cards. Going to say, "Oh, this is bad." I think it's more that intuition than because after you try or after the 1.5, I think the game is really enjoyable. I think, and like we speak, it's easy. You just
Yes.
click,
Plug and play.
you jump it, and sometimes with this we are so busy that we just want to jump click, not
Yeah.
have to work any parts of the wheel again or redo again everything. You just want to jump, do it. The car will go. Select if you want to go historic or if you want to go a little bit more modern, but you can have a little bit of good variety. And is any more games that you think been positive this year? A part of R Factor 2
Well,
that I think
yeah.
I sorry, just to say, I think is coming. You think R Factor 2 online is already a preparation for Le Mans Ultimate? They are already preparing their online system to, when they drop Le Mans Ultimate, drop it on a good way? Or is it just to try to survive the game, just to try to get more, selling more DLCs? Or
No,
what's your point of view
I
there?
think I think obviously having a good online system, more people playing the game means more people are going to buy the content. So for sure, there's an element of that. But to be honest, I think the team have obviously been working on an online system called, or I guess, Race Control. So it's
Hmm.
R2 Online powered by Race Control, and we know that Le Mans Ultimate is going to utilize this Race Control format. So I genuinely think this is essentially a test bed for Le Mans Ultimate. Um, but it's utilizing what they've already got in place in R Factor 2, which is a user base. They've got people that are interested
Perfect.
in it, and they've obviously got a mixture of different racing disciplines, which really helps. So you can jump in a Formula race, and then you can maybe jump in a GT3 race, for example. So no, for me, for sure, it feels like a test bed for Le Mans Ultimate with some other perks alongside that. R
Yeah.
Factor 2 is doing really well at the moment, and a lot of that, if not all of it, really is down to the online multiplayer. But it's an old platform now, so it's old technology. It's rare to see such a big jump for such an old game this far into its cycle. But at the same time, R Factor 2 is always going to be limited by its, I guess, sandbox nature, what it always has been,
Yeah.
the age of the technology.
Okay, makes sense. And the on the lower part, the part that disappoint you a little bit more. Which titles are on your mind?
Cool. So I think if this was 2022, I'd be saying the Formula One game, but this year's game to me wasn't as bad as 22. So that kind of regained a little bit of my faith that on that side. I think just in terms of maybe the overall hype versus what actually happened, yeah, I would put a case towards Forza Motorsport. Not to say it's the worst release of the year, because
Okay.
clearly there are positive things to it, and there are lots of things about it that are really good. It's a AAA title. It's a big game, so it's still going to be a really fun experience for many people. And I really do like their online system. When it works properly, it's really fun and it's easy to jump in a race. It's like what we've discussed before. It's just you jump on a race, you have a race. Doesn't matter if you're using a wheel or a controller. You have fun and you're done within half an hour. That's all good. But I think there's just lots of things about Forza Motorsport that are missing. And given the amount of time that was spent developing that game, the amount of hype behind it, you could argue that that is overall a disappointment. And I think it's
Okay.
definitely split opinions, but for me, it falls more in the this was not as good as I had hoped it would be category. So yeah,
I,
possibly that.
I agree. I agree. I think if you're comparing, I was just comparing a part of graphics, not driving. Comparing with GT7 that was released for old generation and the new generation, the graphics. I know that's depending how much is your PC, but if you go to the Xbox parts, I think the graphics on GT7 are a little bit higher than comparing with Forza. And Forza had so much time to develop and
Yeah,
everything. But I will add something more to this. I will add Dakar. I think Dakar
yeah,
was a game that had so much possibility to be a very good game, and they delay for so long this roadmap, and after they just drop everything like in one go, that feel like was rush. And I tried the game 2 days ago to give a try, and I didn't play the game for a long time, so it's really bit difficult to compare if it was better or not.
yeah,
But I felt the game on the PlayStation more sluggish. I felt some bugs, and I would say the AI more um, aggressive. They will just ram you on the corner, and they don't care if you are on a motorbike, if you are
yeah,
on a quad. They just go against you. And I don't know. I think it was a game that could be very good because the part of having an open map
yeah,
that you can create your race on everywhere, I think will be the dream for us on rally. Imagine
yeah,
you have a north of Portugal, I would say like a square of 30 by 30 kilometers created with different roads, and you just create your own map. That would be infinity possibilities of a rally game. If you have like 10 locations or 12 locations like this. So I think
yeah.
was a little bit disappointed.
Oh, I get that.
But no,
For us though, like my colleague Tom, he tried the preview of the game. So we had our hands on the game a long time before it was released, which was really great. And Tom did a video on it, and the video actually did really well on YouTube. And because basically this preview was brilliant. It was a small vertical slice of the game, and I think what happened was he got to try, you know. The game in its best possible form in a short amount of time, and he thought it was brilliant. He thought it was really, really good fun. So within the Traction team, we were all pretty excited and pretty hyped for the release, and we were all feeling very positive about it. So I think there was an element of disappointment when the game launched, where it just felt like something was off, something was missing, and it could have been so much more. These things are never easy. Dakar is a very niche thing that it's like with the rally stages being really long. People think they know what they want to play, and then they'll say, "Oh, we want this
until
and
they
this and
don't.
this." Then they play it and they go, "Well, that's fun for 5 minutes, and now I'm bored, and now I don't want the realism. I don't want this." And I think that
Yeah,
maybe the
it's a
balance
heavy
of
game.
Dakar was a little off to what it could have been. And I just think that they've not really consolidated what they had and built lots of other things out of it, because there's so many, the idea of it, there could be so many fun things you could do online with Dakar. I have these images of some great events that you could host and some really, really good stuff, but it almost just fell flat within the first few weeks, and it just lost all of the momentum that was there. And I know a lot of the stuff was kind of locked behind a level block as well. You had to get to a fairly high level in the game to be able to access certain features, and a lot of people didn't have the patience to get there. So yeah,
Yeah, if you get to unblock a classic car, you need to do it the stages in all order that I would say, like, well, let's calling that rally, that raid,
yeah,
that you have like 4 or 5 stages in all the categories. So you're gonna have to repeat and
yeah,
repeat, and after that, people are gonna have patience to repeat. But yeah, I think because the game, like I could say, is a hard game because you are there. Let's say if you do a stage 50 minutes and you go on dunes, you are jumping, going around. You need to look for your map. You need to look at for the angle that you need to cut.
Yeah.
So if you go on a professional level, it's quite aggressive. Yeah, I agree with you. And in terms of hardware, what was the best hardware for you in 2023?
Oh wow.
Let's
So
start, let's start with wheels.
yeah.
Let's
This is
break it
such
down.
an
Let's
open
break it down.
topic. Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah.
let's start
PlayStation
with
5
wheels.
best hardware. No. Best wheel. So thankfully at Traction we had the amazing opportunity to test so many things. So I haven't tested
Mhm.
everything. We only test what we get sent and what we talk to the people about. Um, for me, there's been so much movement in the direct drive market. So in terms of
Okay.
wheelbases, if you're looking at, if you're looking at the kind of middle level market, I guess people that want to take it a level up from their original Logitech G29s or budget level stuff and move to the kind of medium area, which is I would describe as the kind of direct drive wheels from 5 to 12 Newton meters. There's so much happening in that space now, and for me, that's where I feel like the best value for money comes with steering wheels. So we haven't
Okay.
tried too many really top end things in terms of when you're looking at 20 Newton meters plus stuff. We've tested the Moza R21, which is really really good, but we've tried a lot of these wheels in the middle range. So we've tried the Logitech G Pro, we've tried the Thrustmaster T818, and all the stuff from Moza. Moza have sent us so much stuff, which is amazing. They just keep churning out really really good products and improving them as they go. So there's been a lot of stuff, but I would say for me, in terms of the feeling of the force feedback, the best base has been the T818. I know that's not this year, but it's just at the end of last year. So that
Okay.
for me started the year really, really strong, and nothing this year matched it in terms of the genuine feel and feedback versus performance and cost and things like that. But Thrustmaster hadn't developed the steering wheels to go on those wheels well enough.
Is what I'm asking is
Yeah, so
the same thing with Logitech. They
yeah,
just drop a new wheelbase, and
no
after
wheel
the
options.
ecosystem is the same old
Yeah,
ecosystem. And as you can see, I have loads of Trust Masters because it was what you can afford and what was given to me. So what was given to me was I came from the Logitech to the GT1 Trust Master.
yeah.
That 2019 you think, oh, it's very good, but after you arrive to 21 and you go, that's will
Competition's
not be
moving.
the, the
Yeah.
yeah, that's will be. But I feel that if you touch on the Trust Masters, what for the price that they have to offer, I think the need to improve. And you guys, you try the new Ferrari one.
Yeah.
How was the feeling of that?
So this is what I was going to say, that what they need to do, Thrustmaster, is basically have either better pedals, or just things need to be. You can use good pedals that are compatible, that aren't Thrustmaster. That's fine, but they need to improve their pedals and improve their steering wheels. Now the Ferrari 488 wheel, for me, it improved their two weakest areas. So you had a lot less flex. So the steering wheel, when you
Okay.
put your hands together with a 488 wheel, it doesn't flex. It's really solid. And I think a lot of previous Thrustmaster wheels, even the SF 1000 steering wheel, they had the flex there, and that really does make a difference when you're putting
Yeah,
through,
that
you know,
plastic feeling, no?
yeah, exactly. That, I hate saying this because I feel so bad for Thrustmaster, but the thrust
No, but
masteriness, of the wheel, right?
yeah,
It's a thing.
yeah. Yeah, you
And
feel that the building is always very similar.
yeah, it's
If
cheap
the design
parts,
change,
and yeah, and they don't really go wrong technically, but they do wear and they do loosen and all these things. But the 488 was a genuine step up in that area. And secondly, the quick release. So they've got this new system for the quick release. It attaches differently, so much better. No need for a screw, into
I know.
plastic and all this pain and horrible stuff that just goes wrong. It was really really good. Saying that, even though the two most important worst things about it were better, when we compared it directly to the McLaren GT3 rim by FAnatec, which is one of their cheapest rims,
Yep.
or steering wheels, I should say, the McLaren feels better in pretty much every single way. So the shifters felt a little bit better, the buttons are higher quality, it looks a little bit better, the grips are better. So yes, they've Thrustmaster fixed the fundamentals, but they still feel they don't feel premium. They don't give you that, oh wow, this is stunning. Whereas even though the McLaren Fanatec wheel is within their range quite cheap, for me it still felt premium to a degree when I first
Okay.
used it. So
Yeah,
that's
because I
where I'd
think
say they're at.
in price range is comparing to the Formula One Ferrari 2004 that is on Trustmaster. Is that one that I have there on the
Oh yeah,
background? Yeah, I think in price range now they are quite similar to the price that Fanatec was doing the McLaren one.
yeah,
And if you touch one to the other one, is the difference is obvious. So
yeah,
yeah, I'm expecting more for Trustmaster. I was expecting them after the 818 they release at least something more, but apparently they lost the Sparko deal to Fanatec. we must say no, because Fanatec is delivering the new wheels with the Fanatec. So I don't know what they're gonna do for the future. And other brands that surprise you
Um,
in a good way.
I mean, Moza have been getting better with every product. So you know, we
Hmm.
had bases and wheels and pedals. I think that the Moza products still lack in the pedal department. That's where they could, compared to the rivals,
Okay.
their top end pedals are as good as a kind of middle to lower end of some of their rivals. In my opinion, but the bases and steering wheels are continuing to improve. The feedback gets better with every release. The cost versus what you get improves with every release, and you know, every new steering wheel they come out with, you know, we continue to be impressed by. The most recent Formula wheel, and I can't remember the name of it because they have so many different naming
Yeah,
conventions and it gets confusing. But
FS
yeah,
something.
FSR, they released you know, a Formula style wheel with a screen on it.
Yeah,
And then they released a KS, which is almost a kind of sharp, pointy one.
without this. Yeah,
And those two wheels, honestly, if I had those two wheels on a Moza base, no matter what the base, to be honest, because even the R5 is really good, you know, um, it would be a good option. So for me, they're just impressive by their continuing pursuit of the big guns, as you like, to try and just make their way into the space. I haven't had a chance to try the brand new Fanatec base, you know, the new CSL
yeah.
direct drive, which
DD.
apparently is very good. So I'm intrigued to hear about that. But in terms of other surprises, there's not really too many I can talk about, to be honest. It's the major manufacturers just continuing to slightly improve and build on what they've got. But there's so many good options out there. I can't. My favorite wheel that we reviewed at Traction, that I still think is the best wheel I've ever used, is the Grid Engineering MPX steering wheel, which
Okay.
is just a work of art. It's so beautiful to look at. We had some long conversations with Brandon, who kind of, I guess, you know, is the head of the grid engineering part, and he designed the wheel with a team, and they put in so much work for attention to detail and making every single bit of that wheel as good as it possibly could be, combined with the electronics and the color that you can get, the customization and everything. That for me is just a spectacular piece of engineering. Like, you
Yeah,
look at that on a
is.
rig and you just think, wow, that is stunning, way nicer than any real steering wheel you'll ever see in a race car.
Yeah,
So that
yeah.
remained, and yeah.
I tried the Porsche one.
Oh
So it's a shop around here that had the Porsche, and I gave that a couple times. And you know, the feeling, the buttons, even just the way that the screen look,
yeah,
and everything. The look that's you pay the price, but you know that what is coming is.
yeah,
And they just had some problems there with the USB connector, but I think is there on the shop. Is not related to the wheel himself. Keep disconnecting, but I think it's just the way that. Is built on the shop. I think probably
yeah.
because the way that we move, we tend to lose the connection. So I think the cable there just need to be more well put it and more well organized. But yeah, I think pedals. I think is in terms of news, you have a lot of news, but after they tend to be very similar. No,
Yeah,
but
generally yes. You get some exceptions for sure, but you're right. And a
haptics.
pedal's a pedal, right? They have haptics, but
Yeah.
they're so expensive that, you know, I've not even tried haptic pedals myself, but some of my colleagues have,
Okay.
and they're very cool, and they're quite realistic. Are they going to make you faster? I'm not sure. Maybe, but for
Okay.
the cost, it's, you know, who knows? It's so expensive, um, and I've tried the Pagani Huayra pedals. From Asetek, which were, you know, really stiff hydraulic pedal. It's like pushing against a brick
Yeah.
wall. Again, I don't think that was last year. There's honestly, years pass so fast. I never know which year testing's in.
No, no,
But
yeah, but they had it this year. Or they was on the Sim Expo. They had a
yeah,
couple of them.
so they're
Yeah,
really good,
I
but
want to.
really stiff, really stiff.
Yeah,
Um,
I want to ask you about Aztec. What do you think? How they made this 2023? Quite surprising, no? They come with a lot of good stuff, and the fourth bundle now price is low. La Prima is coming very affordable too. So now they have the modular bottom with loads of different types of rims options. So, what
yeah,
your views on Aztec?
yeah, they're making big moves. I've not had a chance to try their wheelbases, but I've heard good things
Okay.
about them. Their quick release system is really good. I like the wheels. They're a bit different. They're a bit unique. And from what we've tested, or what I've tested, I've only good things to say about them, to be honest. And when we first tested the pedals, they were very expensive, but they've come down a lot since then. And I know that their budget stuff, if you can call it that, for them, what is budget for them, the prices are now fairly competitive with that stuff, and the quality is still really, really high. I guess the biggest problem for Asetek uh, is just the competition, because so many other companies are coming in and trying to do similar things. People like SimLab have come out with their recent. We tried their XP1 load cell pedals, and
Hmm.
they were fantastic. They're really, really hard to fault. There was just some small niggles that would be easily fixable. But in terms of the actual feeling of the pedal, the adjustability, because that's what it comes down to now. It's what pedals are
Yeah,
easier to adjust on a rig and off a rig, and what are the
and to
elastomer
yourself, no?
settings? Yeah, exactly. And it can be all
Yeah, I
down to
think it's more
personal opinion.
important.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, it's more important. I think sometimes we forgot that not everyone like the same way,
exactly.
and when I think when we judge, oh, why you have these ones, sometimes it's just because not a question of affordable, it's because of the person like that. So if you like it, the same thing when you buy a car. No,
Well,
some people buy one model, other people buy other model because with what you like it. So it comes sim racing now is a
yeah.
little bit like that. You have so much variety that is quite hard. And in terms of handbrakes and shifters, is anything that catch your eye on this year?
The Moza H pattern shifter is a
Okay,
really good H pattern shifter. It's a shame that it's not as versatile with the sequential and stuff. But that one's really good. And the Thrustmaster have come in with a kind of budget level shifter as well, which I thought,
okay.
although it's not exactly, it obviously is cheap and it's plastic and everything, but it does the job. If you just wanted to have a nice shifter with your Thrustmaster for a low price,
Yeah, exactly.
it's filling the gap. But we haven't really tried too many of the kind of fancy shifters and handbrakes or anything like that at traction this year. I still use that trusty Fanatec shifter from that's a few years old now, and that still does the job. But yeah, I've not really tested anything new, to be honest, to say whether it would be better or not.
Yeah, it's the same thing. I think now in terms of each part and shifters, even handbrakes, the options are getting so big that it's a little bit difficult for us to get a hand on everything. So I
Yeah,
still have the Trustmaster ones, and I think for the price and the way that they work on PlayStation, they work on Xbox,
yeah,
they work on PC. So it's easy for us to have them. And okay, you like I say, the sparkle and break is metal, so it's completely different way of Trustmaster. But yeah, but the normal H pattern shifter, yeah, you have that still plastic feeling, but do the job. And
yeah.
I think
It's
sometimes for what you need, sometimes it's our immersion is come to our brain, not
oh
the
yeah.
way that we see the the perspective. So, but which one have disappointing you on the biggest
Oh,
this
that's
year?
in terms of hardware.
Yeah.
Oh, it's really difficult. I'm trying to think of the kind of most negative, I guess, reviews that we've done, and it's really hard to think of them now, because genuinely, so many brands are coming out with really, really good, high quality things, and the competition's so high that genuinely products are just good these days. We haven't, I guess we were critical of the 488 wheel recently just because of the things I mentioned earlier. It just felt like, even though they'd fixed the worst parts, things were just, in every single area in terms of the quality feeling, it was worse than a direct rival. That's about as negative as things get. We tested some stuff like the Camus direct drive wheel, that wasn't this year. And that felt like they could do some work, but they're definitely improving their software. So,
But the new Camus was this year,
well,
no?
the new
I'm
Camus was this
lost.
year, but unfortunately, we didn't get the chance to test it. So,
Ah, okay, okay.
we actually were lined up to do so. We have it sat there,
Because
but
it's like you say, it's very difficult
oh
because
yeah,
with we getting our age, we forgot that the years passing so fast, and sometimes you don't realize that something come last year
oh
and
I
you
know.
already think this year or vice versa. So it's quite difficult.
Um,
Yeah, but I agree with you. I think Trustmaster need to step up a little bit. Is losing a lot of or they're losing their way on the market, I think.
yeah, I think
And
one.
probably Logitech with the
Yeah,
DD,
they
I
need
was
something.
expecting is speaking a more variety of wheelbases because more variety of wheels because the wheelbase is quite good. I tried it a couple times. Random said the same thing to me when we speak. He said to me that was really, really, really good. And if you have a good product there, so just missing the cherry on
Ah,
top, you just need to give us the rest.
so
And I think
frustrating.
even on Logitech on types of, how am I gonna say, types of when it comes to building are things normally they are very durable.
Yeah,
They are tanks. They are the the Nokia 9910 of our of our generation, you know. So I think they just need to get that steps, and I think
Yeah,
gonna
on
be
that
good
subject, actually, it's funny because to be honest, I would have said the same about FANATec this year as well, until the end, because
until October.
just before
Yes,
October, I was thinking,
yeah,
with Moza making all of these moves, with people like SimLab coming in, Asetek making moves, everyone's moving the needle, and FANATec are silent, and people they're not been responding to people. There's lots of issues with communication with customers, and also
Mhm.
communication with creators as well. Like we really struggled recently. But obviously, come October, they launched new products, and there seems to be a positive reception around it. They've put some bundles together. I use Fanatec at home as well because it's something for me that works on console and PC. So I can't really complain about that too much. And I just think that they've saved their year essentially with a really strong end with these new products. Obviously, we'll see how it is long term. But I totally agree with you on the Logitech side because they clearly have a good base there. I also chat to Random about this, and we totally disagree on the True Force on the Logitech because he loves the True Force and I can't stand it. But it doesn't matter whether you like it or not; it's still a really good base with good force feedback. And you're right; they just don't have the steering wheel options, and it's going to become old tech by the time they actually release any steering wheels.
Yeah,
There was
yeah,
plans to release
exactly.
steering wheels, so when it comes to the hardware now, though, generally speaking, and it's the same with rigs and stuff. We've tested so many rigs. It comes down to this minute details. Everyone's doing a really good job. Everyone's learned how to do things well and things, cheaply, but keep the quality up. Sabelt, I went and tried Sabelt rigs. They were incredible, just beautiful pieces of engineering.
I wish to have one, but
Yeah,
the
oh, so do I.
prices is
So do I. Oh,
the
stunning.
prices.
But they're aiming at the higher end market, and the people that can afford them will love that rig. But generally speaking, when we're talking about criticizing hardware nowadays, it tends to be that one really small. I don't like the way that's not very easily adjustable, or I don't like the way the software doesn't show that number properly, or the quick release is a little bit. We're talking just little fine details, which is such a
Yeah,
great
we're
place to
getting
be.
picky,
Yeah, exactly. We can be
We,
picky, exactly. So I
yeah,
think
we
it's a
got yeah.
positive. I think it's really positive. And this year for
Okay,
hardware
yeah.
has been overall very positive, in my opinion.
Yeah, for the I forgot Sabbath. I don't know why I forgot Sabbath completely. When now you mention, and for me, for example, when I went to the expo, I could not try too much because I was coming from operation, so my strength was not the best. But I drive a little bit the F1 rig because of the video that you made it and the video that Gamer Muscle made it before the expo, where you say that was one of the best rig that you try comparing to the GT version, where you said it was some little flaws that come
Yeah,
from our perks. Uh, and I try it, and it's great, man. It's heaven, you know.
you
You
can
sit
fall
down there,
asleep.
you
It's so comfy.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And for me, it's a design.
Yeah,
The way that the lines go, the same lines that they have, or the same angle that they have on the logo. You know the and like I say, if you have money, it's a rig that you can put it and don't gonna look bulky.
yeah.
If even if it's the same size, the way that it's built is beautiful. Yeah, and beautiful. Yeah, and let's jump to 24. What in terms of games are your
Oh,
best
that's yeah.
expectations?
There's a lot coming very soon. I've talked we talked about this in one of the kind of later traction videos we did. We talked about why the next 6 or 7 months, so now probably I guess 5 or 6 months, are so important for the racing game space. And I just think it's because there's a game coming out that's going to be great for anyone. So like any fan, whether you're a fan of rallying, WRC's just come out. Obviously, if you're a fan of the casual kind of open world type games, we've got Test Drive Unlimited coming out early 2024, which is really exciting for the less hardcore sim racing fans, and also nostalgia based. I'm sure if you're
Yeah,
like me, you probably played Test Drive Unlimited and had a lot of fun with it. So there's a lot of expectation on that, and it's been developed for a long time by a studio who have mixed reception to their games, but obviously have a lot of experience on these things. So that's really good with Kiloton. Um, I'm excited about
just to
that.
ask you,
Yeah, sorry, go for it.
if you are talking about that, no, no, it's okay. I just asking. You think they drop WRC to focus more on test drive and give us a proper game, or was not working WRC with them and that's it?
Well, it's a good
Or EA
point.
games come with more money.
It's an interesting point. It could be true based on the fact that if you look at Milestone, who develop all these incredible racing games, yearly titles, Hot Wheels Unleashed was their top seller. That was their cash cow that they made all their money on.
Yeah.
In the same way that Codemasters, when they were making the F1 games, made all their money from Dirt Rally because it was just such a surprising success. So you could argue that Kiloton were, we're going down the route of we're making these yearly WRC titles. Maybe we can, if we focus on Test Drive, this is a game that actually reaches a wider audience, which is true in my opinion. It could also just be that Codemasters agreed to deal with them. It depends on the. It's all to do with behind the scenes licensing. So who knows? But it's a good theory, and I think it could be massive for Kiloton. It could be because this is a big game. I think just the likes of Gamescom. I wasn't there, but my colleague Tom was, and the size of the stand for the likes of the Crew Motorfest was absolutely insane. Like the amount of interest and money that's put into the more casual driving games that appeal to anyone, any kid on a controller, rather than just the kind of niche that we have here with sim racing. That we all love our sim racing, we watch videos, we talk about it, but there's less of us than there are people who are just going to go out and buy Forza Horizon, for example, or buy Game Pass.
Exactly.
So I think
Aero Truck or
yeah,
BeamNG.
exactly.
So we forgot that these games is what bring money to
Yeah.
to our companies to
Hot
develop
Wheels.
the
Hot Wheels is the same thing.
yeah. But now
Yeah.
you make Hot Wheels. I forgot one game that probably deception was a little bit deception was Lego the 2K Drive.
Yeah.
I think idea was okay. If you remember Lego Drive on PS1 that you used to play, but I think the game didn't make near what was expected in terms
Yeah.
of game.
It was
With the microtransactions and all of these
yeah. I think
for kids. When
yeah.
it comes for kids,
It's always
it's a little bit too
morally
much.
it's always
Yeah,
morally a
yeah.
little bit of a question, and I think it was interesting because I'd kind of forgotten about 2K Drive until you mentioned
Yeah,
it.
me too.
It's one of those games that
Just when
just
you say
snuck
Hot
underneath.
Wheels is when the lamp come and I say, oh, wait,
Yeah.
this game was released,
Yeah.
and this game was not surprisingly was a good game. I think if you are a kid, you're not gonna realize these little problems. Like probably you and me never realized when we play on the 90s and early 2000s PS1, PS2 games. You never realize sometimes this, like you say, talk to the race driver, that was not the best in terms of physics, but for us was one of the best games. So
Yeah.
I think we're just evolving and we don't realize this one. But you was continue talking about games that are promising. What
Yes.
is the next one?
So Test Drive Unlimited, obviously
Le Mans?
Le Mans Ultimate comes in February, so we originally thought that was going to be December this year. Now that's moved to February next year, and obviously I'm excited about that. I'm pessimistic. I'm cautious because we still need proof of what it's going to be, and we need to see how good it could be. But if they, I guess, meet the brief, which is to create something realistic and engaging that encapsulates the passion behind the Le Mans 24 Hour and the World Endurance Championship, but is built with the the basis of Studio 397 hardcore physics. Essentially, if it can be a tidied up version of R Factor 2 without some of the sandbox nature of R Factor 2, you could be looking at something really, really good. But we need to see more. We need to know more. We need to see more. And I'll kind of want to hold my judgment until that point. But this, as someone who's a massive motorsport fan before anything else, and a massive endurance racing fan over the years, this game definitely excites me. Like I really, really look forward to seeing what it can be, because if they can sort of take some of what was so special about the virtual Le Mans series and I guess the amazing place that WEC is in right now with all of the manufacturers and hypercars, and combine that with really good physics and just a really solid gaming experience for people. Yeah, the potential, the ceiling is so high.
Yeah, and like I said, after the possibility of to have DLCs with the years
Yeah.
of the endurance race, get the cars from the 60s, 70s, even probably expand to the IMSA that is getting a grid that in some way or some cars are already on the WEC. So the possibility for them to have them can be huge. So I think I agree with you. And any more games that you think that will come this year?
I mean, obviously you've
GTR
got
already moved to 25.
exactly, yeah,
GTR Revival.
yeah. Or it's now GT Revival. I think they've changed the name of it.
G-
So it's
yeah,
yes, but that is one of those games that we just won't know more about until later down the line. So you can't really comment.
but the pictures
Rennsport,
looks very good.
the
I
pictures
think in
do look
terms of
good.
pictures, though, yeah. And
Um,
it's Unreal 5, so you get a little bit like Rensport. We're
yeah,
still waiting.
cautious
I think it's
optimism.
taking. Yeah,
Yeah, Rennsport's the same. I think we expected by this point to know more, and we expected to have seen more because the way they've gone about developing the game is doing everything in public and launching with a summit event where they're saying, this is alpha mode and you're all seeing it. I really like the transparency. But then what's happening is you've got a team that seem to be, working really hard, but they're only maybe putting out a couple of cars every so often, a couple of tracks, and it's a game that most people still can't get their hands on. So yes, you
Yeah.
have the beta going and you've got people racing online, but how long are they going to stay if there's not the player base there to join them? So I think you're going to have people that are maybe done with that game before it even launches. It's going
Yeah.
to come down with Rensport to uh, when will it actually launch, and how open will the content be? Will it be GT3 and a couple of other things like we've seen, or will it have online organized racing across the board? And also the mods. Mods are such a big thing. I've tried a couple of the Rensport mods at some of the events, and they were really fun, really really cool. It just all depends on how they can implement that into the game and how it works. Is it going to be plug and play? Is it going to be messy file dragging everywhere, or is it all going to be really based on the game engine itself within the game,
Mhm.
easy to download and activate, which is what it's planning to be and hopefully will be. But I think people are beginning to lose a bit of patience with Rensport because they're seeing all of these esports events and updates, yet they're still not really getting their hands on anything, and the updates aren't coming quick enough, I think, for people. So that's almost like a simmering boil. It's a pot of soup, and it all it's
Yeah.
simmering away, but they need to be careful because it could spill.
Yeah, I think they are using the wrong thematic when it comes to the rain sport because they announcing on Goodwood the festival they're gonna put the Porsche, and after they're gonna bring the Goodwood to the beta, and that was July, so passing already 6 months, and we don't have it. And after they change a little bit was the Praga that was to come, and after take it 3 or 4 months to come release it, and according with people that drove the Praga is not very well developed. I think probably if they was doing the ESL, they should be doing on mods. I know on Twitter was a conversation between a couple of us about this one, and I think they should make the competition with mods. No, this is the type of engine. This is the type. Design your own car or bring your mod. And after, I think probably to make us more excited with the possibilities of having mods on the game. But I think the game they just releasing keys. I think it was 15,000 keys that
I don't
was
know the number,
released.
but something like that.
Yeah, it
And there
was a
was
huge number. And
yeah,
after, you're gonna have a lot of people playing, but they're gonna play 1 week, and it's not no more.
yeah.
Arrive to a time that is not much more that you can do. I even didn't try the new. I'm sorry to run sport. I didn't try the new. I'll say new updates on the beta. I didn't try them yet. I need to try, but like I say, I know that I'm gonna try it after 2 days. That's it. There's no more
You need
develop.
the
And
player base. You need people to everyone who's keen on it and invested needs to have their hands on it so that you get the
Mhm.
online racing and you get the splits and you get the engagement that people can actually race each other. Because you're right, you could jump on next week. I could jump on next week and play it, and we might be the only two people on because the player base isn't there yet. So
Yeah.
there just needs to be a bit more. There needs to be more movement. I was one of those people that tried the Praga, and it definitely had potential, but at the same time there was some fundamental things that I wasn't sure about, and it's a saturated market. Obviously, we need new sims to come in, we need new technology, but at the same time, we've got 10-year-old games consistently improving and building. Whether that's something more serious like R Factor, or whether it's Assetto Corsa with LFM or Beam, as you said earlier. Like these kind of
Yeah.
games are still developing and going strong, and Rensport needs to find a place to sit within the market, and it needs to get people playing the game if it wants to succeed. The esports are awesome though. They're really. I've been at the events. I don't know how if they translate as well at home, but at the events, they're really, really, nailing that side of things.
Yeah, is that you speak about that when I know that we are doing our recording the podcast in advance, but it's my theme from the previous week
Yeah,
was about esports, because I think on esports, only Gran Turismo from is the one that can captivate us at home. I think this last one in Barcelona was completely out of the way that they bring the vision cars
yeah,
there, and how this one, for us at home is completely different. But I like the model of racing on this ESL. You need to have the points, and if you don't have the points, you are not the winner. So
yeah.
you
It's
can
fun.
be on top for the ending. We could go on a no ending
Yeah,
because it's always changing the person that's winning. But after it's the BOP, some people complain these cars are better on this track, so automatically know that we don't want to have a chance on this car select, and after they tend to go more relay because they don't want to have any penalties for the next races, and so I think it's there. Just they just need to do, I don't know, something more to captivate. And of course, F1 sim racing have good numbers because it's F1. But after, in terms of what was happening on ESL, is a little bit confused for everyone at home. So
Yeah.
I don't know if you know a little bit more of the inside, but
Uh,
for us here was a little bit confused.
well, we were expecting, obviously things of like from a traction perspective, we're kind of out of the loop, most of us individuals, as we were before. But the I think that we thought something was going to happen in Sweden, and we were very confused as to why there was no words being said about it, or no hype
Yeah,
around it. And we were kind of, I was chatting to my colleagues and just going, what is happening? And this was on the day. We're thinking there's still nothing. I reckon there's maybe been a licensing issue. Has one party pulled out? Has something else happened? And I think just the way it was all handled and the way it all happened, it just left a bit of a sour taste with people at home. And it left a sour
yeah,
taste with the drivers, as well. But these things happen. It's not always in the hands of, sim racing's niche. We talked about this before. It's not always in the hands of the people that are trying to make the sim racing happen. It can be the hands of big companies and license holders, and
yeah.
it could
We
be
never know
Formula One.
what's
It
go
could be
behind.
ESL. Like who knows? And I really honestly don't know the details on this particular one, but that that is something, ESL and Formula One coming together, it could be really big for sim racing, because ESL goes way beyond what sim racing has right now. ESL
Yeah,
levels of viewership for other games is what sim racing aspires to be one day, right? um, so it's a good starting point, but it's not started on a good note. So let's just hope
okay.
that things tidy up, and become a little bit better in the short term for drivers and fans at home. Um, and yeah, just a real quick one as well before we move on from this, on the Rensport ESL thing as well. I agree with you. I think the format is very, very entertaining. I just think the problem is when you're at home, you don't get the atmosphere as much of, the drama and
Yeah,
excitement of, and the guy's about to win $30,000 or pounds, and then he gets taken out, or he gets overtaken on the last lap. That's really exciting in person, and the crowd there and the stewarding and everything. That's amazing. But when you're at home
because
and the
I
whole day
want
is
to
nine
ask you
hours
if you are
long,
now sorry, if you are
yeah.
now talking this one, just for not to lost this one, exists communication between the team and the drivers, or during that time exists any communication, or is no communication at all?
There is a bit, yeah, because the team, basically the way that the stage has always been set in ASLR1 is the teams are around the edge and they're behind the drivers,
Okay,
but the drivers aren't all. So, for example, if there's three drivers from the same team, they're not all necessarily lined up next to each other. They could
exactly.
so, but the teams have set places and they can choose, where to sit, and then they've got someone in the back room on the team radio. So you've got an engineer.
That's what
So
I say. If they
yeah,
open the channel to us at home,
yeah.
a little bit
So
like style F1,
yeah,
you know, when something happen, I think we'll bring that. Sorry, that drama
yeah,
that make the viewerships, because we need to remember when it comes to these type of things, you want, no, probably not me, not you, but a lot of the people, they like the drama to captivate us, to give us that retention. So I think they
yeah,
just need to get something more, because I know you have George, you have Veracity, you have some great people there around commenting and everything, but after tends to be very repetitive because you
yeah,
keep saying the same thing.
yeah.
I think we just need a little bit more captivating.
So
I'm not the right person to say what is missing,
well, I think I
because
think that the whole show lasts for too long on the big days. So, for example, the majors, or it could be like an 8 or 9 hour show, and no one's watching the
yeah,
whole thing. People are maybe have it on the background. To be fair, if they're doing other things, or they tune in and out. But from my perspective, I think you need to make more of a cut down version of it for the public. So it's almost a bit more
okay,
like an entertainment kind of TV style show, where it shows some of the highlights of the races, but maybe has some of the behind the scenes stuff, a little bit more of that kind of thing, because the actual, raw broadcasts on their own, as you say, it's repetitive, seeing the same four tracks every single race, the same cars, the same drivers. That's fine because you get to know the people. But maybe do something like, when Rensport is a bit further down the line, you'll have more tracks, maybe switch up the cars, so it's not just a GT3
yeah, it's what I
series.
say,
Have
like
like,
a surprise,
yeah, exactly,
like
next
a
race
random
is,
car. You don't know
yeah,
which car going to be.
yeah, because
You have your livery. If you have a mod system, your livery can adapt. You have
yeah,
already the liveries adapt to all the range of cars that gonna be, and you can go a variety of cars. And the
yeah.
teams are not, even for the drivers, you are not getting used, because so you're gonna have more that element surprise. You are absolutely right
and
in
also
what you say.
because of the format and the way they do the kind of winner takes all, or you have to get into finalist mode and then win. They're not trying to create something that's raw, pure motorsport and fair motorsport as it's normally known. They're trying to create something entertaining. So therefore, lean into
Mhm.
that more. It doesn't need to be GT3 9-lap races around the same tracks. It can be some different stuff. They can do reverse grids. There's so many different elements that you could do to make it a bit more. If you're going to go down that route of making it crazy and different anyway, lean into it and make the most of it
Yeah.
and make it a show that we can all enjoy rather than watching just so many races over a course of a day and only the people that are tuned into the point system know how it actually all works.
Yeah, exactly. Don't need to be Mario Kart. You don't need to bring
Yeah,
power ups or boosts, but you need to bring something that's gonna give us. Yeah, I think so. At least on the major, like you say,
yeah,
on the other ones, just if you want to go just pure sim racing teams, yeah. But after when it comes to the major, give us that type of. Okay, and in terms of more games, probably AC2
yeah.
will
But
be.
we need to know more. That we need
Yeah.
so much more on AC2. But that obviously excites me because I played AC to the ground when it first came out. I was really young when it first came out. I think I was like 15 or something, and I just played on all the different car and track combinations and just tried every single different car in the Nordschleife and see which was faster. And I had so much fun with what that was, and it's had so much good longevity. And then you've got ACC that's come along and been incredible from an esports perspective and a hardcore sim racing side, just with their attention to detail and the racing structure. So I think therefore I have to be excited by whatever Kunos and 505 do next. And AC2, we just don't know anything about it yet. So if they give us a bit more, we can get excited for it. Until then, I can't really get an opinion.
But I think it's good that they keep delaying. I want to say this because I think on this type of generation that we have, sometimes they just go with the time limit and say, look, this is the game, and after the game came with the problems, and after this one take our reception of the game. So I think it's good if AC2 is not proper to becoming or like the rain
Yeah,
in a racing. I prefer wait and come proper than you give me just something that I want, and after will not be finished. I keep saying you don't want a car that come without one of doors just because you need to you want your car coming properly. So I think our games should come properly. If take more long time, take long time. Come on, we wait 10 years for the GTA 6,
yeah, and the hype's still there.
and you're gonna have to wait one more year apparently after the trailer. So and if you want a good game,
Yeah,
that's a price. And I prefer waiting for something that come enjoyable than like I say, waiting for just waiting
no,
or just having the game just for having the game.
totally agree. I think games nowadays are so much bigger than they used to be. It takes more. So even though the technology is better, so you get these higher definition games, better graphics, all these, you still need the humans to create the things using the tools. And I think that,
Yeah,
for example, creating a building nowadays is going to take a designer a
or
lot longer
100%.
than what it took them when we were playing Toka Race Driver 3. So I think that games generally take longer. That's a thing we're seeing, and I think constantly game develop or sorry, publishers are trying to hype their games up, build momentum, but then they're falling behind on the schedule. It's not happening as quickly. Obviously, COVID happened and everything, so games generally nowadays are just taking a lot longer than they used to, and people's expectations become really really high. I'm so with you. Like, you don't need to rush out a game in this day unless you need the money, because the companies need to make
Yeah,
money. It's always better to sit on something and make it good, because if iRacing, no one's going to stop playing iRacing because rain isn't there yet. People might complain about there not being rain yet, but no one's going to stop playing
yeah.
it. But when the rain comes, if it's not good, people
Will
are
you
going to
play?
complain about it. Like,
But would you play? Will everyone play on the? Because I made other interviews and we keep asking, how going to be your I rating on the rain?
oh, you'll
If
do
you are
it
not
one
good
day,
enough,
one race, one day, and then you're done, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. So I think people are speaking, but after when come to the first turn in Monza, like we were speaking the other day, or you go in any type of or even NASCAR, if you go in a NASCAR. On oval, with the rain, are going to be going to be chaotic. So I think your I rating going to be down. So I think going to be something that you're going to love it for the first week,
yeah.
and after everyone going to hate it because it's going to be completely chaotic. And if it's come good, let's see. But now to finish the podcast, because you are arriving to 1 hour, we're going to go to our hot seat. First track.
Okay, Is that Caesar's Palace?
Yep. Second one. This one you
That's
need to
not
know.
kill. All good.
Third one.
Ooh.
I could make it difficult taking the turns and everything, but I think
It's
help us a little bit.
ooh. This is
Asia. Think Asia.
Asia.
Think
Oh,
F3.
this is Macau.
Yep.
Yeah.
This one is ours.
You give me a nice little hint there. Oh, that is okay. So it's very round. It's a small oval.
Yep.
You would have known this back in the day when I played a lot of iRacing. Is it is it a Sprint Cup oval? Dart is. Oh.
You can skip it if you don't know it. Skip it.
We'll skip
It's
it
a
for.
tricky one. I just put.
Yeah, we'll skip it. If it's niche, we'll
Yeah.
skip it. Lakeshore Drive. That'll be is
America.
Yes. So that is
NASCAR.
Yeah. Is that? That's not Toronto. No.
Lower. It's a skyscraper city.
See, this is where my American geographical knowledge really lets me down. South Lakeshore. See, I know Lakeshore Drive.
Already on 40 seconds.
No, we're gonna skip it for now. We're gonna skip it for now.
Okay. If you could change something in iRacing and SimRacing, what would be? Very fast.
Ooh. More accessible racing games built for fun, not just for the hardcore.
First track that came to your mind.
Not kill.
First car that came to your mind.
Porsche 911 GT1 Le Mans, late 90s.
And did random call sign made to the bank on Moza?
Despite popular beliefs, he actually did, but it took him way longer than it should have.
And right to the end. Was missing one. Was the best video that you have done? If you want to tell us, just
probably History of Le Mans on the Traction YouTube channel, because that was an hour and a half long when you put all the parts together, and it was written entirely by myself, and we just had so much fun filming that, and my colleague Osley enjoyed the editing, and it was just really fun story to produce, and cool to do something that was that long. So yeah, that was it.
All right, perfect. That was beautiful. Oh, you think it was difficult? Because you are the first one that go online with this type of question. I already made with other persons,
okay,
but they're gonna come on.
So the American tracks through me. So the oval, I'll probably know the oval when I hear it, but there's.
Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you. Over is North Wilkesborough.
Okay, yeah. So North Wilkesborough obviously is quite famous right now because it's returned, I guess, to big action. But the second one, I'm gonna. The thing is, for me with NASCAR street tracks, I do actually watch the Sprint Cup as much as I can, but I don't know the layouts of the street circuits because I just haven't memorized them all. They're all the temporary
Chicago.
ones. Chicago, yeah, no, wouldn't have got it.
But yeah, you get 3 tracks, and the questions we went on 4. So it was no bad overall.
I'll take that.
I think 7 in 10. Yeah, I'll be back. For my part, John, thanks so much for joining me. I know that SimRacing changed a lot, so if you want to come in half year to talk about half year of SimRacing 24, be my guest, because I would love to have you again for more talk, and I think people will love to have you on board too.
I really appreciate that. No, it's been really good fun. I always love talking about some racing and stuff. So yeah, I've enjoyed the catch up. And hopefully from my end, I'll still be working in the sim racing space coming into next year. We've just got to still work on all the plans and things. But I really enjoyed it. Hopefully I'll come on again at some point soon. And we can talk more about sim racing. And obviously you can, in the meantime, you can catch me at John Munro Racing across socials and stuff. And I'll, if I am doing anything sim racing related, you'll be able to see what I'm up to on there as well.